Hello, and welcome to
Papi Approved Movies.
My name is Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
In our podcast, we'll review and critique my favorite PG-13 movies.
Movies that I wasn't allowed to watch until I turned 13.
Every other week, Natalie and I will watch a new PG-13 movie.
And I'll see if Papi's movies live up to the hype.
Which, of course, they will.
Today we're going to be watching The Sixth Sense.
Before we begin, there will be spoilers if you haven't seen the movie and don't want it to be spoiled.
Press pause and come back when you're finished. Now, Papi, tell me the deets on this movie.
How you doing, Natalie?
I don't like the name of this movie.
Yeah, you have a hard time saying it. It's called The
Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. You're doing okay?
Yeah.
All right. Sixth Sense came out in 1999 with a runtime of 1 hour and 47 minutes. Streaming on Max. It was written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Main stars are Bruce Willis, Haley Joel Osment, and Toni Collette. Fun facts: the line, "I see dead people," is one of the most popular movie quotes of all time. You knew about that line before?
No, I was thinking about that Kendrick Lamar song.
Which one?
Not Like Us, and it starts, "I see dead people," and then he goes, "da da 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 da," and then he does the song. That's the song we did a parody for in our science class.
I wonder if
we said, "I see dead viruses."
You love that song. You've talked about that song at least 37,000 times in the 3 months that you went and did it. You're so proud of it. You should release it on the pod. Yes, you should, right? Because it's a parody, so we can play the music. I can put the music in the background. You and your science group can rap to it, and then it'll be our outro. All right, well, maybe not. Yeah, so I wonder if you got that line from this movie. So what'd you think of the movie?
I thought it was good. I had many theories, and they were all wrong.
Yeah.
Halfway through the movie, I was like, I got it. I know what's happening. And then you were like, well, don't say anything. I did not know what was happening.
I don't want you to, because you and your sister are really good at figuring out stuff. Like, way better than I ever was. Your mom's really good at it, too. So I'm like, don't say anything, because then it'll ruin it for your sister or for mom.
Only mom can really figure things out. I just have theories, and they're wrong most of the time.
You just come up with a lot of guesses.
Yeah.
All right. Sophia's pretty good too, though. She does pretty good with it. There's a couple movies where they have some surprise endings where she's like, I thought so. I'm like, you're saying that now, but. All right. What do you rate it?
I give it 5 stars.
5 stars. Oh, my. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. A little scary. You didn't think it was very scary, did you?
No. I was lied to once again.
We're watching this in October, so it's the Halloween month. We watched 2 scary movies, Ghostbusters and The Sixth Sense. And
neither of which are scary movies.
You think neither are scary. I thought it was pretty scary. Kind of creepy, no? You're like, you're all right. You're just eating popcorn. You didn't care. But you did like it because you gave it 5 stars.
Uh-huh.
Why'd you think it was so good?
I like the plot twist.
So, there are a couple of movies that have such an amazing ending and kind of like makes the whole movie great. But then rewatching them is kind of hard.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one time, because then you start looking at things, you're like, oh, that was obvious. So obvious. How come I didn't pick up on that? But for the most part, once you already know the surprise ending, and if you haven't seen this movie, really go watch it and then come back, because the surprise ending will ruin the whole movie if you know it.
I think that a lot of the fun with watching movies with plot twists is that if you've already watched them, then you can watch for other people's reaction. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. You're like, hey, you should watch this movie. You don't know how it ends. And that's kind of what I've done with this movie. And then there's there's 2 rated R movies that Sophia's seen already. And one she's going to watch, which have amazing endings. And it really makes the movie. And I didn't want to, watching her kind of like go through it is kind of interesting. So
why don't we get into the recap?
Okay. The movie begins with Anna and Malcolm, a married couple at home. The celebrating Malcolm receiving an award from the mayor for being a stellar child psychologist. They go upstairs and notice a broken window. Vincent, a former patient of Malcolm, is in their bathroom having a breakdown. Vincent tells Malcolm that he failed him when he was little and shoots him in the stomach and then he kills himself. That's kind of a scary, dark scene, right?
Yeah, pretty dark, I would say.
Yeah, because he was just having a hard time.
I didn't know if this movie was gonna be because you said it was a scary movie. So I was expecting like sociopathic killers, but it was just some guy with mental health problems. So I was confused at first.
Well, there's a good question. Is a sociopath a mental problem?
I don't know.
Yeah, so someone who's a sociopath or a psychopath have their own mental issues. I would say we know what Cole goes through, right? And all the dead people he sees and all the like trauma he's been going through since probably he was a little boy. And Vincent is a grown man now. And he has gone through that trauma his whole life. You know, he's a villain in the movie, but not really, because what he is going through is just tremendously traumatic.
I was thinking about it, and afterwards he said he's going to have a pretty good life because he can just end up helping people. But I also feel like when I was thinking about it while watching the movie, I kind of compared him to Superman in a sense, where he's always hearing everyone has problems and he like he feels like he has to solve them all and he can't turn it off. And I think that it would still drive him insane even not being scared of them.
I do wonder if he can talk to them and say, because there's a scene at the end of the movie, and we'll get to it, where he's talking to the lady who got half her face burned off, right? She was in a scary fire at the theater at that school. And they were just talking. And then when someone came in, she just left. Right? We realized she's a dead person. And the teacher that came in, Mr. Stanley, he doesn't see her. But she leaves like, okay, I gotta go. So I do wonder if it becomes a society for him where people respect him, understand him, and move forward, although they don't know they're dead.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's a plot hole because she wouldn't know to leave because she doesn't realize that she's dead.
I mean, he could tell her. He never tells Malcolm. He never tells anyone that they're dead. They have to realize something. Because Malcolm figures it out, but then he kind of disappears. So I don't know if once he figures it out, once you know you're dead, then you go away. I don't know.
I think that's the whole point. He was like, I think I'm ready to go now. And I think he's like talking about like leaving to heaven. Like,
yeah, I get that. But
it's almost like unfinished business.
But I don't think it's connected with him knowing that he's dead.
I think so. I think once they realize that they no longer have to fix things and that they're dead, then they can go away.
All right, let's keep going with this story. The next fall, Malcolm is waiting in a park to talk to a little boy named Cole.
He walks like a Lego.
Yeah, that's what you were saying during the movie, that Cole was walking like a Lego.
He walks like a Lego man. He's like...
Malcolm sees that he may have the same diagnosis as Vincent, a mood disorder. He also notices Cole has cuts on his arm, possibly self-inflicted. Cole runs away into a church and Malcolm follows him.
Just as a side note, if I was shot in a house, I would not be living in that same house. Or if my husband got shot in a house, I wouldn't continue living in that house. I'd probably sell the house and move because I would never want to live in a house where someone was murdered and someone killed themselves in. She just stayed in that house. She still lives in that house. I would never be able to live in that house.
I don't know if I would live in the same house where, like, say, a spouse was killed or a child was killed or someone committed suicide. But people buy homes that have that. And the real estate agent has to, like, disclose if someone was murdered there or suicide there.
I know. I watched a Brain Games episode and there was, like, a dream home and they're like, well, there is one issue. And they told them, like, that, like, people that didn't believe in the supernatural, that there was someone murdered in the bedroom. And then everyone was like, we gotta skedaddle. Even though they didn't believe in the supernatural, supposedly.
I would move in.
They couldn't deal with it.
You wouldn't move in? You would be like, nah, I'm out.
I would be leaving.
No, I wouldn't care. It's not like it happened and like the body's still there. Like, you know what I mean? The house is clean.
If it was someone who just died, then that would be okay. But they were saying she was like murdered.
Yeah. Nah, I'd move in. I'd be like, can I reduce the price of the house? They're like, okay. But I would not, if something happened in our home and someone died or someone committed suicide or someone was killed, I don't know what you would do. You just move and like your whole life gets transplanted out? Like, she has a career. She has a job. Like, what is she going to do?
I don't know. There's apartments.
Just sell the house. And all right. Anyway, so Malcolm talks to Cole in the church, but Cole's not having it, and he leaves.
And he steals Jesus.
Yeah, I left that out. So he ends up stealing little religious artifacts from all types of religions. He's like hedging his bets. Like, maybe one of these will save me from these terrible ghosts. Malcolm gets home and Anna's sleeping. He goes into the basement to look up some information. Every time he sees Anna, they never talk. And it's such an obvious thing. Like, she never even recognizes his existence. Never at one point does she even say hi to him or talk. Like, how is it that you could be so mad at your husband for getting shot in the stomach? So, very obvious now when you look back on it. But at the time, I didn't think so. At Cole's house, Lynn, his mother, is spooked when she walks into the kitchen and all the cabinets are open. Cole leaves for school with Tommy, but Tommy's just pretending to be Cole's friend and then calls him a freak and walks away.
This is the part where I still didn't know that he saw dead people. So I thought that he had powers that he couldn't control.
Sure. Yeah, so they don't really tell you he's dead people until about midway through the movie. And then we can see the dead people. Like, in the beginning, you can't see the dead people, right? They don't show it. And then later, after he tells us, then we start seeing all the dead people. Cole gets home. His mom and Malcolm are in the living room. Cole opens up a little to Malcolm, but he will not give up his secret. Cole tells Malcolm that he once drew a violent picture at school, and he got in trouble. So, from now on, all he does is draw nice things and rainbows. Cole tells Malcolm he doesn't think he can help him, and he leaves. Malcolm meets up with Anna at a restaurant. He's late to their anniversary dinner. She's angry, pays the bill, and leaves. So this is one of those scenes that I was talking to Sophia about. It kind of annoys me because they went a little extra to try to fool us. So she's having her dinner. He shows up late. She doesn't talk to him. He's about to pay the bill. She ends up taking it. And then she says, "Happy anniversary," and then walks out. But she says it angrily. So that way we can assume that she's just really angry with Malcolm and not talking to him.
Yeah, but if you were just sitting in a restaurant alone and you start paying for a bill, you wouldn't stare into nothingness and go, "Happy anniversary."
Yeah.
And then leave.
Well, that's right. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense that it happened. I mean, I can see where she's upset and she's like, "Happy anniversary." Like, she's wanting to cry because this is her anniversary. First anniversary since the death of her husband, right? But then they make it look like she's angry, which is annoying. Those are one of the scenes. Like, sometimes you go, they make a scene so that way you can get fooled. I'm cool with that. But if you make it too much so that way you can fool us, then that's just for the cinema. That doesn't make sense with the storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Later, Malcolm asks Cole if he can come up with a goal for their therapy. Cole says he would like to not be afraid anymore. Anna's at home and a coworker asks her to come out with him. She declines. Later, Malcolm sees her in the shower and notices she's taking antidepressants. He's sad and he walks out.
At first, I thought, well, he's the therapist. Why wouldn't he know about the antidepressant? But then I thought, you wouldn't go to your own husband for therapy, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you would think they would talk about it.
So I thought that scene was a little weird, but then I made sense in my own mind.
It kind of you can make it make sense, right?
Uh-huh.
In history class, Cole's teacher, Mr. Stanley, says that the school used to be a courthouse. Mr. Stanley used to be a student there when he was young. Cole tells Mr. Stanley that people were hanged there. Mr. Stanley tells him that he's wrong, and Cole starts talking about Stanley when he was little at that school and how he used to be called Stuttering Stanley. Mr. Stanley gets mad, pounds the desk, and calls Cole a freak.
This is why I still think that he has some powers, because I thought he cursed this guy, because then he started stuttering again.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then also, I think this is a plot hole as well, because he's saying oh, I know that people were hanged here and that it wasn't just a courthouse because I see people that are hanged in here. But he doesn't necessarily know that they were hanged there because it's not like they're only in the place that they died, because there's other people in his house when he goes to sleep at night.
Well, that's a good question because people come from other places, right? But you see the people hanged.
So they're stuck there.
Maybe. I do wonder that also a courthouse is a place where they probably would have hanged them, like back in the day. So I'm not saying that he's wrong. I think he's probably right. The only thing I don't like is that Mr. Stanley calls him a freak. I'm a teacher, as you know. And then you would never do something like that. Even if you get so flustered and upset with a kid, you know that obviously there's something going wrong with him. And you're not going to just call him a freak. Like, of all the names. And that was the word that came up like 3 or 4 times throughout the movie. Because Tommy calls him that. He asked his mom if I'm a freak. I think he even asked Malcolm if he's a freak. And so like that name is like a name that everybody kind of like associates with him. And I'm just like, I don't see it. Why would you call someone that anyways?
Yeah, I don't really get it. I think that a teacher would probably just send him to the counselor because I think he's schizophrenic or something.
Yeah, as opposed to getting mad and pounding the desk. I mean, that teacher should have got in trouble. At the end, you see the teacher again, but I think he should have been fired. If not fired, at least he should have been suspended. There's no way you can be pounding a kid's desk and then calling him a freak and then just go on with your day teaching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cole and his mom get invited to Darren, Cole's classmate's party. Cole hears something upstairs and he goes to see what it is. In a little doorway, a man is screaming from the other side. The boys trick Cole into going into the doorway and lock him in. He starts screaming and shouting and Lynn comes to get him. He passes out screaming. At that point, I would have punched those kids in the face, you know?
Yeah.
What was the point of that? Just to scare them? It was just rude.
It's just very messed up.
And later on, mom does call and say, hey, I want to talk to you about your son's wicked ways or something like that, right? Like she's going to yell at the parents as well. So
this is where my first theory formed, but should I reveal my theories at the end when we have all of it?
No, you can do it now if you want.
Okay, so here is where we realize that he's getting hurt by the ghosts.
Right.
So I think that the ghosts can interact with the real world and real people. I think that Malcolm is the counselor, right?
Right.
Here's my first theory. That Malcolm sees dead people as well. And that, what's his name? The guy that ended up shooting him was already dead. And that's why he was saying, you couldn't save me because I already died. Okay. And that he like shoots him, but he doesn't actually shoot him. He shoots the wife and the wife's actually dead this whole time. Oh. So I thought that...
So Malcolm was alive, though. No, you're saying Malcolm was dead, too.
No, I'm saying that Malcolm was alive and that Vincent was already dead and that Vincent, in ghost form, killed his wife. Okay. And that his wife has been dead. And that's why I thought, like, they weren't interacting because I thought she was the dead one. And that he was alive and he also saw dead people, but he was trying to ignore it. Okay. All right. I can see where that makes sense. Because there is a disconnect between he and his wife. Yeah. So if she were dead, that would make sense. Because she's living a dead life. She doesn't actually exist. But I thought that Vincent was already dead because he kept saying, like, you didn't save me, you couldn't save me. So I thought that he had already killed himself and that he was seeing a ghost. What would be the worst thing ever as a child psychologist? And it was to have a suicide, right? Yeah. I mean, murder, sure. But like you think you're doing everything to help this child and then eventually nothing comes to fruition and the kid, or now an adult, kills himself. And you think after he gets this award for being an amazing psychologist, then he fails in the most spectacular ways. And I think that right there was psychologically and scarring enough to like never want to treat people again. Yeah. And it must happen, right? We went to a college visit for Sophia and there was a child psychologist there. He worked at like jails and everything, like juvenile halls and stuff. He talked about that he has called 3 times where he had to call the police because he thought maybe there'd be a suicide. And I'm like, how do you live like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then to see the child, now an adult, kill themselves, I think that's so emotionally scarring for Malcolm. I don't know how you can come back from that. But there he was trying to figure out how to save another child from going through the same thing. And that's what he needed to do before he went to heaven, you know? But that's what my first theory was that Malcolm is alive, his wife is dead, Vincent was already dead, and Vincent found peace with himself somehow by like showing this guy like, hey, you didn't save me. So he felt peace now because Vincent knew that he was gonna save the boy, the little boy. Okay. Like from going down the wrong path. I got it. And so you think both Malcolm and this theory, which we know is wrong, but it was a good theory at the time.
Do you think Cole was alive as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And that Vincent was actually a good guy in this storyline because he really just wanted Malcolm to save Cole.
Right. At the emergency room, Lynn and Malcolm are waiting for Cole. The doctor comes in and asks what the cut on his body is all about. He wants them to go see a social worker. The doctor in the movie, that's the director and writer, M. Night Shyamalan. That's him. He became this huge, mega superstar director. He's making that new movie, Trap. We saw the preview of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing that movie. He's done like a bunch of different movies. Very famous. I think this is one of his best ones, if not the best one that he did.
I think that this part was a little silly because they think that the mom is abusing this boy, which makes sense as a doctor to
Sure.
like assume that.
Yeah.
But I feel as though the mom could have explained that her son is getting bullied very badly at school.
And that could be from the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a little weird that she didn't say anything about the fact that he's being bullied. And literally that day, that
When he was
exact
getting
day,
beat up.
he was only in the hospital because he was bullied into like being
Going into a room.
forced into a closet like Harry
Which
Potter.
he could have hurt himself by like jumping up against the wall or pushing up against something sharp.
Exactly.
Yeah. Malcolm comes to Cole's room and they both open up. Malcolm tells him about Vincent, how he reminds him of Cole. He mentions his wife and how they're not doing well together. Then Cole tells him his secret.
Because she's dead, in my
She's
theory.
Then Cole tells him his secret. He can see dead people. Most of the time, the dead don't know they're dead. Malcolm begins to believe that Cole may be schizophrenic. So the whole dead people, so there's two huge reveals, right? First is that he can see dead people. And at that point, we realize, okay, there are things going on, at least in this universe, where people can see dead people. And then secondly, at the end, we find out that Malcolm's dead. But like, did you at this point go, oh, Malcolm's dead? Did you have any idea? They go, oh, if he sees dead people, why is Malcolm alive?
No, I think this explained my theory even more. That the two of them can see dead people. Oh, I had another theory.
Okay.
This is where the other theory came in. So he's like, I see dead people. And he doesn't have a dad, right? Because
Right.
his mom is divorced.
Right.
But what if the divorce wasn't real and the dad was actually Vincent?
Yeah, they talk about the dad really quick about him leaving and go be somewhere else, but you're right, could have been, right?
And so I thought that Vincent was actually the dad of Cole and that Vincent like was real in this theory, like he was still alive and that he killed himself, and Cole was like doesn't have his dad because they had the same like mental issues.
Right.
Or not mental issues. At this point we
But they
said
had
they
that
both
gift.
have that seeing ghost thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, what if they're related?
You know, they say something about the dad, he went to go work somewhere else, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't Vincent.
That's why I thought, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, this guy's dad is Vincent. And I don't know if this took away from my theory or like added to it that he's also the son of Vincent and Vincent was still already dead and that Malcolm still sees dead people.
Well, we
Because
know
I
Vincent's
did
last
agree
name.
this for a long time.
We know Vincent's last name is different, but we don't know if maybe he takes his mother's name, right?
Yeah.
Cole might be.
And I don't remember names, so I didn't remember.
I think it's
Vincent had
Sears,
a
like
last
Sears. Can he Sears? I don't know. I think that's his last name, but I can't
But
remember.
anyways, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Vincent's child. Because Vincent's already an adult, so he could technically still have a child.
And he could technically have gotten the gift as soon as his dad died, right? Like maybe it's something that happens after he dies.
I thought that it was just genetic.
Maybe.
And that he was birthed and had that Vincent's gift.
That night, Cole has to go to the bathroom. He's scared, but can't hold it anymore. He sees what he thinks is his mother in the kitchen, but it's another woman with bruises on her face. She begins to yell at Cole and shows him her arms that were full of cuts. At school, Malcolm and Cole are walking down the hallway. Cole then stops in his tracks because he sees 3 people hanged in the hallway. He tells Malcolm that every time he sees dead people, it gets very cold. He worries about making the dead angry. At home, Cole and his mom are eating dinner. Lynn tells him that she found his grandma's bumblebee pendant in his drawer. She asks if he took it. He says no. She gets mad and sends him to his room. On the way, he sees another dead person. Cole runs to his mom, asking if he can sleep with her, and she says okay. At this point right here, you know that bumblebee pendant is being moved.
Yeah.
So you do know that the ghost can move and touch things.
Yeah. It goes into my theory.
At work, Anna and her coworkers almost kiss, but there is a crash. The window is broken and you can see Malcolm fleeing the scene. Once again, only 9 months. That's pretty quick. Quick turnaround for Anna, who's going through it. Super depressed and sad. Just went through the anniversary of their wedding. She's watching wedding videos at home, and then she's trying to make out with some dude at work. Anna, evil character. She's the evil character in the movie. Malcolm tells Cole that he cannot be his doctor anymore. He needs to focus more on his family. Cole asks him if he believes that he can see dead people. Malcolm doesn't answer.
Because he can also see dead people and he's denying it.
He's denying himself?
Yes. Because he doesn't want to admit that his wife is dead.
Yeah. At home, Malcolm revisits Vincent's files. He plays tapes from their therapy session. He hears something on the tape. He realizes that there are other voices speaking on the recording. Malcolm finally thinks that Vincent and Cole have the same issue and believes that Cole can actually see dead people.
And I know we know that my theory is wrong, but this also goes into it because why would he be able to hear the other voices? That doesn't make any sense unless he can also see and hear dead people. But I don't understand, forgetting my theory, like in the real movie, why he can hear those voices.
That's a great question. So the recording isn't real, maybe? And then that way he's dead, he can hear it.
Oh, yeah, probably. Because he can hear all the other... No, because he can't see all of the
dead people don't see each other.
Because they don't know they're dead.
Because they don't know they're dead. Or they don't even know. Yeah, he doesn't see the dead people, so why would he be able to hear them?
Yeah, that's why I was like, my theory! I can't wait for this reveal.
He has a good point. He does hear it.
Plot hole.
Malcolm goes to Cole and tells him that he thinks dead people need his help and that Cole should just listen to them. At home, Cole is awoken by his mother having a nightmare. He consoles her, then he starts breathing smoke again. He goes to his room and a girl named Kira is throwing up. He runs away. He changes his mind, goes back, and starts to listen to her. The next day, Cole and Malcolm attend Kira's funeral. At her wake, they find out that she's very sick, and so is her little sister. Kira comes to Cole in her room and gives him a box that she wants him to give to her father. Cole gives the box to Kira's dad, and inside is a VHS tape. He plays it, and there's proof on the tape that Kira's mother is actually poisoning her the whole time. Cole goes outside and talks to Kira's little sister.
I don't understand why she would be mixing the poisoned soup inside her room.
Where else are you going to do it? In the middle of the living room? People can see?
In the kitchen. You're making the soup. It's pretty easy. It's just like, oh, it's an ingredient.
I want to go do some poison right now in the kitchen. Someone's in the kitchen right now.
I guess so.
If Sophia's in her room right now, I could put poison in it. No one's seeing me except for Sophia. And
so she just has cleaning products in this little girl's room at all times?
You clean the room, don't you?
I guess so.
It's like she came with it. Like she had it with her. That's pretty terrible. So maybe Anna's not the worst person in the story. It's Kira's mom.
Mom brought it up. She was like, why is she wearing red at a funeral? And then she ended up being the murderer. So... But then also, why would you still wear red? That's very peculiar. Center of attention. Yeah. Conspicuous. Everybody can see you. It's her. She's the number one person in the whole funeral. Which is pretty dark, right? It's pretty terrible. Cole is much happier now. He's a star of the school play. He's no longer afraid. He talks to the dead and tries to help them out. Cole tells Malcolm that if he's afraid to talk to his wife, he should do it when she's asleep. Lynn drives Cole home, and he tells her that he sees dead people. She thinks something's wrong with him. He tells her that he talks to Grandma. Cole says Grandma's proud of her, and tells a story about a dance recital when Lynn was a little girl. Lynn finally believes him. Do you think it was necessary for Lynn to believe him? So that way Cole can move forward. Or else she's just going to keep wanting therapists because she thinks her son is schizophrenic. Well, she never asked for a therapist. I don't know. I think that it was necessary because really the only important person after Malcolm leaves in his life is his mom. And if he's like, it's like he's sharing the burden alone because Malcolm's gone now. Yeah. So I feel like he needs to have someone believe him. Because Malcolm was the only one that believed him.
Yeah, that's true. I think you're right. I think it was kind of unnecessary. And it was a nice emotional moment because she was sad about her mother passing. Malcolm goes home and Anna's asleep. He talks to her and she tells him she misses him.
I was like, ooh, yippee, time for the reveal. She's dead.
Then she drops his ring. And he finally comes to understand that he's dead too. He died the night Vincent shot him. He says goodbye and it fades to white. Then we see a video of them kissing at their wedding. The end. The fade to white should have been better. It would have been better if they ended it there. There's no need for that. All that other stuff is just like, oh, look, they love each other. They're kissing. And I don't think it was necessary. People always want to end a movie in a kiss. I don't know why. Good movie. Very, very good movie. Classic. People love this movie. It's a little scary for me. I don't like the scary dead people.
There was only one scene where I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And it's something that I don't think would be common to recognize as like a weird moment.
What is it?
That he's going to the funeral with Cole and he's still wearing his like doctor's lab coat. And I'm like, why wouldn't he wear like a black suit or something? He's been in this lab coat the entire movie.
Oh, he never changed his clothes? I never even noticed.
But I noticed that. I was like, that's weird. Why is he still wearing that? I didn't I just brushed it off. I was like, guess he's really into professionalism. But I was like, that's the only moment where I was like, that's really weird.
You think the dead changed clothes?
Maybe it was what he was dressed while he was buried.
Maybe. Yeah. Because that would be the last bit of clothing he had on there. All right. Could this movie still be made today?
Yeah.
Nothing weird. Nothing that you would think could be taken out. I mean, with mental health being such a huge part of people's minds now.
Maybe that comment of that teacher being like, oh, you're a freak.
No, because you see movies with teachers now all the time that are horrible. Teachers are the worst in movies. I don't think they ever get the respect they...
Except for Matilda, Miss Honey.
Oh, yeah. But then the principal's awful in that movie. She throws kids, right? Throws them like in a catapult or something, right?
She kills kids.
She didn't kill them.
Yeah, she puts them in the box with all the spikes and then they die.
Oh my goodness. All right. Does it pass the Bechdel test?
No.
All right. Let's talk about the Bechdel test. Bechdel test is a test to check for female representation in movies. There are 3 criteria. Criteria number 1. Are there 2 or more named females?
Yeah. There's Anna and Cole's mom has a name. There's Kira. Kira's mom probably has a name.
Yeah, probably.
And probably one of the bullies has a mom.
Right. We don't know if they have the names. Criteria number 1 is correct. Criteria number 2, do they talk to each other?
Yes, there's 2 scenes that I can think of.
Okay, what's one?
One of them is where Cole's mom calls the other mom and is like, hey, Linda, I just made up a name. Hey, Linda, tell your kids to stop bullying my son.
Right.
That scene.
Okay, and the second one?
Something else makes sense.
Tell me what makes sense before you lose it.
So Anna goes to a pawn shop and there's a couple that's buying a ring. And It's like, oh, this ring belonged to someone special. It was probably her ring.
I mean, she had his ring. I think she still had her own ring on.
But I think that she was trying to sell his ring and then ended up not being able to do it.
I mean, it was an engagement ring. It would be for her. It could be her ring. I'm not sure if she had a ring on. But there is that scene. They do talk to each other. The person who wants to get engaged and Anna.
She's also talking to the guy. They're talking in a group and the guy's basically saying, oh no, that's too expensive for her.
Yeah, but she's talking to the girl. She's not selling that ring to that dude. That dude doesn't want to buy it. He already's like, oh, kind of expensive.
Yeah, I don't know if that lady has a name though.
No, I don't either. Criteria number 3, they talk about anything other than a man.
Well, not really in that ring shop. But when she's on the phone, Cole's mom is on the phone, then she's basically telling the little boy, the mom, to control her little boys from beating up her son. So that's all about boys.
Yeah. So you're saying it does not pass the Bechdel test. So anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I had a note here, and I wonder about this little boy actor and if he's traumatized from all that's going on in this movie.
You know, it's a good question because you have tons of little kids, minors, who are involved in horrific movies and stories. And you do wonder the psychological impact it has on their lives. You don't know. Like if this kid is so freaked out about this movie and then he watches this movie back and is like, that's me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it is a scary situation to go into child acting because it can be a little bit.
Especially in a horror movie.
Yeah. And
Mom thinks that maybe the actors, like the dead people, weren't in the same scenes.
Yeah, like they move it around. You know, so some people are in different scenes. It's different. Because, you know, it's different camera angles.
But there's still scenes where they're together. Like, he's in the hallway and the other ladies, the little boy's there. Or he's talking to Kira. And there's the scene, if you could say maybe both of those, like, oh, they show them, like, having a conversation. But you see an outside scene of him talking to the lady with the burn mark on his face when he's about to go for the play.
Right.
And they're talking. So, like, there's definitely scenes with these people with these
where they are
terrifically scary, like, makeup on that could probably really scare a child.
I don't like how you see little kids in scenes and you're like, you don't know how much it's going to affect them in the long term.
Yeah, and I think that probably goes on for a bunch of other horror movies. I think that little kids are, like, seen as, like, a scary thing often because it's, like, an innocent thing and then it's turned evil. Like, imagine being a little kid and you have to act like you're possessed. Like, does that not do something to your mental psyche?
That's a good point. Like, when we watched Ready Player One and they were doing The Shining and those two little twin girls, I mean, like, they were all scary and freaky. Like, you imagine that they had to act that way too, you know?
Yeah, but I feel like possessed children is a very common theme, and like they can't just have an adult play a child.
The Children of the Corn, you know what I mean? It's a whole movie franchise about little kids that are, I think all kids are possessed, but you know, that's a different point of view. Anything else?
No.
Thank you for tuning into Papi Approved Movies.
If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app or like our podcast on YouTube. And if you watched all the way to the end, comment down below the gravestone emoji.
We put out an episode every Monday.
If you want to see extra podcast content, follow our TikTok at Papi Approved Movies.
If you want to suggest a movie for us to watch and critique,
email us at papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com.
That's papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com. No spaces, no caps.
We'll try our best to get to your suggestion.
And remember, it has to be PG-13.
I'll be back in 2 weeks to watch Liar Liar.
I'm Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
See you next time.